मनसि प्रतिष्ठिता मनो मे वाचि प्रतिष्ठितम् आविराविर्म एधि वेदस्य मणिस्थ श्रुतं मे मा प्रहासीः अनेनाधीतेनाहोरात्रान् सन्दधामि ऋतं वदिष्यामि सत्यं वदिष्यामि तन्मामवतु तद्वक्तारमवतु अवतु माम् अवतु वक्तारमवतु वक्तारम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः Om. May my speech be firmly established in my mind. May the mind too be firmly established in my speech. May there be perfect correspondence between my thoughts, words, and actions. O self-illumined, please illumine my consciousness, be revealed there. May the truths of the scriptures come to me. May not what I learn from them ever forsake me. Let me live my life day and night according to their teachings. I shall speak what is appropriate. I shall speak the truth. May that protect me. May that protect the teacher. Om. Peace, peace, peace. Let us feel our true self, which the scriptures and sages describe as divine, all-pervading, beyond space and time, ever blissful. And it is our clinging to ego, attachment or identification with body and mind. We do not experience our true divine self. Let us feel that all our forms, shapes, and the names be dissolved. Like the salt dolls dissolve in water. Gone is ego, gone are all bondages, limitations, no time or space, no I and world. Let us now feel this very one without second, all absorbing, all pervading, blissful existence is condensed in the form of Sri Ramakrishna. Om. Peace, peace, peace. So friends, here we are in this serene, beautiful chapel. Most of you are, of course, virtually here. And virtual has this connotation as well. Virtual means actual, real. Like one would say, I went to attend that event, and when I went there, it was virtually sold out. Means it actually was sold out. Maybe there was one ticket that I could procure for myself. It was sold out. So virtual means actually it is actual. Because the reason that you are here, because our mind, where our mind is, there we are. It is because tied with the body, we feel that we are where the body is at times. But really, if you see, you are where your mind is. And therefore, if your mind is attending this class, you are here. You are actually, mentally means really you are here. So, let us have this awareness that we are here, and let us remain here. How much we learn depends on how much we are here. Otherwise, even if one is physically here but absent-minded, then even though physically here is not actually here, virtually that person is not here. So, you are virtually here. Be attentive, be concentrated, because you are investing your time, your energy to learn. And this main instrument of learning, the mind, therefore has to be kept attuned So, remembering this, let us begin with our regular prayers. Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashvapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadattatam Bhuvi grinanti te bhurida jana. So this is a great chapter in this very special type of biography, where each of these 5 volumes, they have been given the name as a particular mood, particular bhava. The original Bengali titles, they are like Sri Ramakrishna Balak Bhava or Balya Jivan. Then there is the Sadhaka Bhava, means the attitude or mood of a spiritual aspirant. And then there is this Guru Bhava that we are studying, Sri Ramakrishna, in the attitude of a Guru, a teacher. So all these are Bhava, means Sri Ramakrishna is expressing that particular mode of his being. So, this biography therefore is not exactly chronological, right from the incidents of his birth or ancestry and then developing till his physically passing away, but has been therefore divided in this way that you get an understanding of Sri Ramakrishna in a particular mode. So we are studying this Guru Bhava, Sri Ramakrishna as teacher, and here is the chapter about Sri Ramakrishna's connection as a Guru, as a teacher, with his own teachers. And we had been discussing about the first of these teachers who came to Sri Ramakrishna, ordained by Divine Mother. That Divine Mother had sent this very advanced lady, a monastic Bhairavi Brahmani, who was expert in all the tantras, various spiritual practices that are mentioned in tantra of, say, usually the Vishnu tantra or Devi tantra or Shiva tantra. She was expert in Vishnu tantra. So the 64 practices she would teach to Sri Ramakrishna. And there has been a discussion about his Sri Ramakrishna's acceptance of her as Guru. A few more words let us read that we had read last time, but let us begin, because Swami Saradananda makes a special reference to it, that it need hardly be mentioned that the Bhairavi Brahmani was extremely advanced in sadhana. These words are important, extremely advanced in sadhana. So, all that path of spiritual practice was traversed by her and was therefore very clear to her. And this is evident because she was selected by Providence to be the Guru of the Master. Again, the Master told us that Before she came to him, the Brahmani's yogic power had revealed to her that during her lifetime she would have to give spiritual help to 3 men, including the master, and as soon as she met these individuals in different places at different times, she immediately recognized them and helped them in their sadhana. This proves that she was undoubtedly a spiritual aspirant of a high order. So, these two had already met Bhairavi Brahmani and had help in their spiritual practices. A little description will come about them now. During their first meeting, the Bhairavi, the Brahmani told the master about Chandra and Girija. My son, she said, that is how she used to address Sri Ramakrishna. My son, she said, I have already found those 2 disciples. Today I have found you after searching all these years. I shall introduce you to the others later. She did in fact bring Chandra and Girija to Dakshineshwar and introduce them to the master. We have heard from the master that they were highly developed aspirants, but although they were far advanced on the path of sadhana, they could not succeed in realizing God. They had achieved some occult powers and had been diverted from the right path. In the teachings of various great saints, you find this, that occult powers come. They come, friends, as one goes on to the spiritual practice. The reason is that the powers manifest when you put a restraint on their getting dissipated in 100 different ways. In spiritual practice, you plug those holes, as it were, whereby what happens now, all that pent up energy that becomes now very powerful. It is in all many engineering these things it is used to, when you generate power, you stop the frittering away of the energy, thus it becomes now concentrated and becomes the power increases thereby. We use it in, say, pressure cookers, that we don't let the steam fritter away. So that develops power, and thus whatever you are cooking, that gets cooked fast. So this is how this in sadhana the powers manifest, various powers manifest. But we have so many different tendencies, and they are not all sublimated. So some of those tendencies, they want to use those heightened powers for fulfillment of the desires connected with those tendencies. And thus the spiritual growth gets stunted right there. This is a red flag that has been shown by all saints, that this would happen. Patanjali describes in his yoga aphorism various different types of siddhis, that if you can concentrate on the idea of form, your form will disappear, you would become invisible. There are so many such things. If you concentrate on word, the origin, the sound, then you will understand the language of every single creature. So these powers come uh, during the course of sadhana as the mind becomes more concentrated. Concentration yields power. So therefore, one needs to have more control to channel the power in the right direction. It is more control is necessary when there is more power available. Let us be aware of it and beware of it. We see that there are more controls put on us when we have more power. Like if you are just walking on your feet, then you don't need to get a DMV license for that. It is not your legs have their motors, but that is not a commonly called motor vehicle. So, because their power is very low, and then you don't need to be having special training and control for that. So, you don't need that. If you are using a bicycle, they then there is no, you don't need a DMV license for that. Motor vehicle department, you don't have to approach for a special license for that, but they insist that you put a helmet. That is a suggestion, that is that you should do that to keep yourself safe. So that is a control that has been suggested. But if you are going to ride an automatic bike, a powered bike, then well, according to the power of the bike, there will be several controls and you need to have a license for that. If you are, say, going in a car, then you need a special driving license for the car. If you are driving a big truck, a supply truck, then you need a further special license for that. So various, if you want to fly a plane, because you are using more and more powerful instruments, so more and more control has to be developed. If the control is not there, then more power with lack of control would bring more disaster. So therefore, the more controls are to be provided as the power increases. It is thus here, as one does spiritual practice and we develop power, we have to develop power. It is not that we can do without having the power. So power has to be developed. It does develop as because a spiritual aspirant has to learn to plug all those pores in our consciousness through which all the spiritual energy or all the energy that we have gets frittered away, gone. Then the spiritual practice doesn't really happen as the example given in Vivek Chudamani and other places, that if you keep on pouring water in a pot which has holes, now how much you go on pouring, it all gets drained, not a drop remains. So similarly, if we are not going to block those holes, then there is no chance of further spiritual progress. So this is an essential aspect that one has to keep on practicing with more and more enhancement as one learns to block or these holes, and naturally now the power will be rising. So, like the water will get filled as you plug the holes and pour the water, now the water will hold in the jar. So, exactly like that, our personality will become more and more powerful, and gradually that would result in what gets called as the kundalini rising. Like the level of water in the jar would start rising, the kundalini would start rising. That is, and then as the powers manifest, what happens is that one is not that vigilant. One feels that okay, I can, I had this long standing desire, I didn't have the power, but with this power available now, why not use some of it for a time being for fulfillment of that desire? And thus, this happens subconsciously or even consciously. So, one has to therefore remember it, that it should not be allowed. And then the power rises. So many things then you can have which normally you wouldn't be able to have those. You didn't have power. It is thus the increased power and used for some other desires to be fulfilled. Again, the spiritual progress gets stunted. Not only that, one comes to a big harm due to such exercise of these what gets called as occult powers. Occult because they are abnormal. They are not in normal people. It is you got them because of some spiritual power, and thus your spiritual practice brought these powers to you, and thus now you can, unless there is the adequate control, those powers can lead us astray. And this happens with so many. That is how there are the stories in our Puranas, epics, that sages are performing the austerities, and then the demigods in those spheres, celestial spheres, they get scared. Oh, now our seats are under siege, as it were. We may lose our powers. So they try to now tempt these ascetics with various things that, oh, okay, now, yeah, you can. And the ascetic, if there is not that kind of control, yields to them. That, okay, what does it matter? The mind starts supporting these things. The intellect starts supporting, okay, this is a good thing, let me enjoy for today. From tomorrow again I will plug that hole and go for spiritual practice. No, it takes a lot of work again to bring that scattered mind back. It is, and one meets the downfall also. Because of these powers, you do something which is not acceptable to society, and then you get caught and punished. So, and these powers also are then gone because the tendency to do spiritual practice that wanes. So one has to be very cautious. That is why these examples are given. Patanjali tells that these powers, they are obstacles on the path of samadhi. The beautiful aphorism is there, vyuthane siddhayah samadhau upasargaha. That they are upasargahas in samadhi, means in concentration, they are obstacles. But vyuthane, if you want to enjoy well, they are these powers that you can, they could be possibly used, but then you will not be able to attain the concentration. So therefore, you see these examples here, and these are advanced aspirants, and many advanced aspirants meet this disaster due to not being able to control those tendencies to make use of power. You see, when some power becomes available, there is the irrepressible tendency to use that. It is right from the childhood you can see this tendency that you find something and then want to make use of it. In that field it is okay, means it still many children come to harm by that just a little knowledge comes, with that a little power comes. And thus the child sees that, well, I can now climb down the stairs. Let me climb down fast. Let me run down fast on the stairs. And then the child falls because wanted to test that power. So there is this tendency that will be coming in us. Okay, let me make use of this power to do something. No, don't. Because that will bring harm to you. Let that power be used for the highest purpose of life. It is. There are so many such examples of the use of power. We are now looking at this Chandra and Girija, the two disciples of Bhairavi Brahmani, whom Sri Ramakrishna had met. The stories are very illuminating, that we can take lessons from these. The master mentioned that Chandra had a contemplative nature and was a lover of God. He achieved an occult power called Gutika Siddhi. After sanctifying a Gutika, means a tiny ball, with a mantra and fastening it onto his arm, he could make himself invisible and thus gain access to even closely guarded places. If a person achieves occult powers before realizing God, he or she becomes egotistic. This enhancement of the ego traps the aspirant in the net of desires, preventing any further movement towards a higher spiritual ideal. It finally becomes the cause of his or her downfall. How many ways did the Master explain this to us? As the ego grows, so does sin. When the ego shrinks, one attains virtue. The increase of egotism destroys spirituality, but by annihilating the ego, one becomes spiritual. Selfishness is sin. Selflessness is virtue. All troubles cease when the I, that is ego, dies. His very famous oft-quoted statement is in Bengali, Ami morle ghuchibe janjal. That when the ego dies, that Ami means that I. When that is gone, all the troubles cease. That is the firmament where from all troubles come. And this whole universe is said to be the product of this separate I awareness. It is described in Upanishads when it is asked that how this out of this one without second reality, how this multifarious universe how did it spring up? Then the sages start explaining. The God thought, sa aikshata, like in this Aitareya Upanishad, you read, sa aikshata, it thought that let me, create ima prajas srijayeti, that let me now create. I came, ego. And then through that this whole universe got made. That otherwise there is no universe, no names and forms. It is I. Then the creation comes. And then, there was one great Swami, I heard about him. So, he would advise his many disciples that now you will find strange, don't plant a tree. I was so, why should you not plant trees? One must plant trees. It is good to have plant trees. He said, no, you plant a tree means you start thinking it is my tree. You get connected to it. Like you get connected and tied to your progeny, my child. Now that tree, that plant becomes your child. You get bound by that. It is, if you are working for somebody and keep on planting trees, that is a different thing. You don't get that if you are cautious, not tied to that. But okay, this is my tree. In fact, that is how it is done to get the plants taken care of at many places. It is like you have right there the kind of community garden. So people, they choose some small plots of that. And then what happens thereby? It is my plot. I take care of it. And so every single thing that they sow there according to what they think is nice. And then they take care of those plants because now it is their child, their baby. So therefore then it becomes all problem. Then it becomes my, and then all the problems of ignorance, they become more and more pronounced. And the process therefore is reverse. Okay, now apply that ego, that I, to suppress this selfishness, the desires. And thus gradually you will progress in spiritual life. Your powers now will be used for the illumination, not for your own destruction. It is, otherwise it is shooting in your own foot. So you have a gun, power is there, now where to use it? It is, that is how it happens, that you don't see anything, okay, let me still fire. And then inadvertently you shoot on your own foot. So things are like that a man had a knife and wanted to cut something. Now the sharp knife is there, nothing was there to cut. And so, while handling it, seeing how sharp it is and all, cut his own finger. So, it happens that you have the instrument, something that is like a power. Now that power will have to be used. It is therefore the power is to be accompanied with the power to control it. So, but the desires that inadvertently, at a subconscious level, take the charge, assume all the controls, and thus one comes to harm. So, Sri Ramakrishna used to mention that very often. One cannot make any progress without cutting this terrible knot, that is the I, ego, and this consciousness that gets called Chit Jada Granthi. So, one must give up the ego. Divine Mother has shown me that the occult powers are to be shunned like excrement. He actually saw that in vision. It was that I don't want to describe it much, but he saw it as a heap of all those that dirt, excrement. So this excrement, Divine Mother said, hey, do you want that? If you see it like that, who would want it, you say? That it is a heap of dung. So you people wouldn't want it, but that is what it is. But since we do not realize it, we run after it. So, one should pay no attention to them. Sometimes they rise of themselves when you practice sadhana, but if you take notice of them, you will be caught. You won't be able to reach God. And that is what happens. One Swami was giving a retreat here, and I liked the analogy that he gave, that it is like you get so many those spoofing emails, everybody gets them in their inbox, a lot of them. They contain some attachments, and they come with lot of these enchanting options, alluring options, that, oh yes, these days their number also has increased, because now people are looking for some money, some escape out of this condition, that for a lot of these masks were not available. So many such these spam emails came at that time. Yes, we have found a way to get you the mask, and it is very simple. It is you may even qualify to get some for free. So just click on this attachment, this link, and then you can just say there how many you want, you will get. You click there, and then before you realize all your these information and many other things, your computer may get just frozen. And what is the trick therefore? That Swami said that as long as you do not click on the attachments, they won't trouble you. You can just press the delete button for that email. Do not click to open any of that. If you open, then you have the danger. You are in danger. So any such titillating vibration that comes, if you click on it, you get caught. If you don't click on it, then you don't have to worry. It comes and goes. They pass, Don't take notice of these, that it is just coming and going. It is those spammers, you may grind teeth, your teeth, oh, these spammers, I'll to them. It is, but well, if you don't take notice, that is the best thing you can do. They come, they go, you cannot control them. It is, let us know that in this particular environment, you cannot control the receiving of these spam or spoofing emails. You will get them. Even if you put some filters, those people are very smart. They will get through those filters. It is so. Best thing is ignore. These desires, these titillating desires would come. Sometimes they would come in the form as if that, oh, you will be able to help the whole world. It is just this little thing that you have to do. And after all, the real spirituality is helping in the world. So, just take up this bait. This temptation came to Jesus Christ. The devil tempted him that, well, you will get all this wealth. I get many such questions, that if we make lot of money, then we will be able to help many people. Not too long ago, even a church minister was arguing me on this, that we have to get lot of money so that we can help lot of people. And then what happens? You do so many things to get the money, and you always tell yourself that it is for the good of all people that I am collecting. But remember, that will bring downfall. Jesus refused to succumb to all these temptations. Buddha also refused to succumb to these. So, because you succumb and then you are almost on the path of no return, without taking again, as it were, you start from square one. So, this is how you have to see that it is that. And he gives a great example here, the example of Swami Vivekananda, to show that how, as he would progress in meditation, he started getting some occult powers. It is the main focus of Swami Vivekananda's life. And this is Swami Vivekananda in his pre-monastic days as a college-going student, that is being described. That was meditation. While eating, resting, or performing other activities, he always kept part of his mind focused on the thought of God. Sri Ramakrishna gave this example also. And that focus, keep a part of your mind always connected to God. And the example, he said that if you have a tooth pain, a nagging tooth pain, you are doing things, but a part of the mind is always connected to that pain. So, one of our Swami was approached by a devotee. Swami, can you teach me a transcendental meditation? And this Swami was very funny, like many Swamis amongst us, they are fun-loving Swamis. So he said, Well, transcendental, I don't know, but I can tell you first about the dental meditation. Uh, Begin with the dental meditation. That it is, if you get that toothache, that it is so much excruciating pain you are experiencing, then just as your mind is always attached to it, always you are feeling that pain. So, that is how you should attach it to God. Always. This is the dental meditation. And when you transcend that also, then it becomes transcendental meditation. As the incident goes, the last line he didn't say, because the fun was only up to that it is okay, dental meditation. So, but this is how one can look at it. So, the meditation, Swami Vivekananda always was in that meditative mood. Sri Ramakrishna therefore called him Dhyana Siddha. See, these are words of Sri Ramakrishna. So he called this Narendranath his Dhyana Siddha. Always in that meditative mood. He may be playing soccer, he may be doing some music, he may be talking to somebody on some matters of literature or history. Still, a part of his mind, his awareness was always reserved, meditating on the divine. So that is Swami Vivekananda's personality. And so, the master would say, he is perfect in meditation, Dhyana Siddha. One day, during meditation, Vivekananda suddenly developed powers of clairvoyance and clairaudience. So, as soon as he became absorbed in deep meditation, his mind would rise to such a high plane that from that vantage point he could see people in a discussion at someone's house. He would want to immediately verify whether this experience was real. He would abandon his meditation to go that place, when he would discover that what he had seen during meditation was indeed true. This is not really a strange thing. And it is, what happens is our mind, our consciousness is tied to the body. So when it is free from that, through meditation, that bond is cut. Now, mind is everywhere. So you now go with mind. And now, for example, you can go, say, to Europe, wherever, if you are in Europe, think of some other place. So, you can go to Japan by your mind. Even with all these travel restrictions, they apply only to the body. The mind doesn't get that problem. So you can go by mind. Some who are stuck here because they cannot actually take physically the air travel from America to India, and are facing problems due to that. So, but they go by their mind to see their friends and relations and all that. Our mind is constantly getting dragged there. Oh, how is my spouse doing there? Your mind goes there. Now we don't feel that reality or that satisfaction because we are tied to the body. With the increased spiritual concentration and meditation, this power makes you free from the this bondage to body, which is has to remain stationary. Body is at one place, cannot go to many places simultaneously. But if you are freed from it, imagine, and now you have the mind which travels everywhere. So Swami Vivekananda developed that power. Now what happens? He did not want that to happen. He wanted to continue with the meditation. So, after experiencing this a few times, he reported it to Master. The latter said, "Those powers are obstacles to path of God realization. Don't meditate now for a few days." Don't meditate. Sri Ramakrishna is telling this young man, don't meditate. Because right now the meditation is making you get titillated. So let that be, that phase become stable. So this is how Swami Vivekananda's this power awakening was. And later you say that when he became established in that highest realization, Sri Ramakrishna asks him one day that, hey, look here, due to this my sadhana and all that, over the course of time I had acquired all those powers described in scriptures as 8 occult powers. Means it is Duradarshan, means you can see the things at a far away place. You can see what's happening, say on the moon right now. So, or you can know the thoughts of somebody else's mind. You can project yourself in so many different bodies and so many siddhis, so many occult powers. 8 of them are considered very important, very big powers, Ashta Siddhi. So Sri Ramakrishna says Narendranath that, hey, would you like to get those? Would you like to get those? Now Narendranath does not say yes or no immediately. Sri Ramakrishna was putting him to test, and he knew Sri Ramakrishna has them. And if he likes, if he asks, he can give them. It is, if I offer to you, you would not go for it because you know that this fellow doesn't have them. If I say to some person, okay, I would like to give you $5 million, you will say oh, thank you, Swami, but I don't want, because you know that I don't have that to give you. So, it is, Narendranath knew Sri Ramakrishna has these powers and can transmit them, can give them. He had experienced these things several times. So, he didn't say yes or no. He asked a counter question. A very illuminating incident, friends. Just meditate on that. And then the question was, are those things helpful in God realization? See, means if they are helpful to reach the goal, maybe I can think of them. Sri Ramakrishna says, no. But then he again threw a curveball there. No. But after God realization, to spread the message, they may come handy, they may be useful for that. A temptation. One may think that, okay, right now let me take them and put them somewhere, but afterwards when I need, let them be with me. It is, they say that let there be no hunger, but let there be food. So I may not feel hungry, but if it is there, when I feel hungry, it will come handy. So now I don't need them, but in future I may need. So now Sri Ramakrishna is offering, why not take it? This great man says, no, I don't need that. See the renunciation of this person, this Swami Vivekananda. So occult powers come, and one has to reject those to advance in spiritual life. Our time today is over, so we shall try to see the story of this Chandra and Girija next Tuesday. Now let us meditate for 30 seconds, and in case if you have some questions, please ask them, questions or comments or remarks. Yes, please. Any question? No. So let us conclude with the closing prayers. May the Divine, who is Father in heaven of the Christians, Holy One of the Jewish faith, Allah of the Muslims, Buddha of the Buddhists, Tao of the Taoists, Great Spirit of the Native Americans, Ahura Mazda of the Zoroastrians, and Brahman of the Hindus, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May the all-loving being manifest himself unto us and grant us abiding understanding and all-consuming divine love. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.